Hey folks, Tommy Kelly here from adventuresinwooba.com and 47s.com, and this is the first podcast. So about 2 years ago, it's about 2 years ago now, I made a black mirror, which is a scrying mirror. And if you don't know what scrying is, it's a form of divination that you use. Like a crystal ball would be a type of scrying where you look into something and try and see if the future appears to you as a vision, or if persons, places, or things come to your mind. But that wasn't really what I was interested in making my black mirror. It was more this thing of eye gazing, which you come across a lot in shamanic circles. So about 2 years ago, I made this black mirror. I had made black mirrors before then, one in particular, which was quite small, but it didn't come out too good. It looked very rough and ready and a bit of a mess, and so it didn't feel good to use. It felt kind of, even having it on the table or whatever on the shelf, it just kind of felt messy, and so it wasn't working for me. I remember the first time I kind of came across the whole idea of eye gazing was when I was probably not yet a teenager, probably just younger than a teenager, maybe 11, 12, something like that. And at the time, my dad had been, he got into yoga, and he hadn't gone to classes or anything. He just got this book, and I remember it was just like a blue book, like with newsprint papers that had drawings of people doing the various poses. And every night when he came home from work, he would spend 20 minutes, half an hour, just going through the different poses. And on the first day, he'd do the first 5, and the second day, he'd do the next 5 or whatever. But there was a part of that book which was on about meditation. And he was obviously trying it out or whatever. And one of it was where you sat in front of a mirror and just stared into your own eyes. So he must have been doing this for, I don't know, a few days, few weeks. I don't know. It's memory is a weird thing. But I remember walking into the room, his my parents' room at the time, and he was staring into the mirror, and he had like a tear down his cheek. And it was, he'd obviously got to a very intense sort of stare, and the eye had watered and all that. And of course, I walked in and was going to ask him something, and completely ruined his entire meditative practice or his concentration or whatever it was. And obviously, that can be quite annoying when that happens. So he wasn't very happy to see me. But I just kind of walked out, whatever. He came up later and says, "Oh, sorry, I was just, I got to a really deep sort of feeling of meditation or deep concentration, and he hadn't got that far before." I don't know if you tried it again after it, or it's hard after you when you get to such concentration that then the next time you're just constantly thinking, oh, someone's just going to come into this room and annoy it. So I don't know if you did. But the next kind of thing that I came across with the eye gazing was when we were, myself, again, my mum was trying to do, was doing these courses in the evenings, when I was again, young teenager. And it would be, I don't know what exactly it was. It was like not women's courses, but it seemed to be predominantly just women who did it. In fact, it was all women. I don't think there was any men at these courses, but it was, some of them were, how to use color to, I don't know, there was a book at the time all about using the right colours, and you were a certain season, and they were the colours for you that reflected you. I can't really remember. But there was things like that. But there was also, she got into law of attraction stuff and that sort of thing. But there was also a thing of everyone started trying to look at each other's auras. So myself and my mum one time were looking at, trying to, look at each other's auras or whatever, and we were just in the hall, and have to do this kind of out of focus thing with your eye to see it. I could never really do it. I can see kind of auras around things, but I can see auras around everything, which, living, dead, man-made, good, bad, indifferent, which suggests to me that it's more of a trick of my eye than any sort of actual spiritual or auric vision. Some people can see colours. I can't. I mean, I've tried. I can see a very clear aura around the chimney that's outside the window, that I can see from my bed, and I doubt that a chimney has that much of an aura, so it must be just a trick of eye. Anyway, but we were trying to look at these auras, and your eye kind of does this thing where it goes slightly not out of focus, it just stops focusing. And it reminded me of a time when I was very young, when I used to be in church, we were brought up Catholic, and obviously, church when you're a child is mass, as we would call it. We never call it church. It's very boring, and you just don't want to be there. But I remember for a long time, I used to play this kind of a game where I would do this thing with my eyes, where I would kind of out of focus them, and it was almost as if a cloud or a smoke or the colours of the world desaturated. And it's also if a different world was being superimposed above it. It's very hard to explain, but I have said it to other people who, my sister kind of got it at the time. She was doing something similar, but other people have mentioned things similar to me. But so I won't really be able to explain it, but it's just where your eyes go out of focus, and it's almost as if everything closes in or everything goes white. But you can never get to the full manifestation of it. It was always the game to see how far you could go, how much of this cloud or this smoke or this haze could you bring in. That was the game. And I used to play it then at night, and it was slightly different. It was the opposite when I was going to bed, where instead of a cloud or white light or whatever, it was like a darkness. And it wasn't closing your eyes, because I used to test this. It wasn't like gradually and slowly closing your eyes just to make the room darker and darker. It was, again, this trick you could play with your eye that just made the darkness come in around you. And again, I could never get it to be fully dark. It was the last little bit of it just never seemed to click in place. But I stopped doing it, and I forgot about it for a long while. But it came up again when I was in my early 20s, and I was in Glastonbury. I just happened to be in Glastonbury because the girl that I was going out with at the time, her and her mother were going over to, it was the Goddess Festival in Glastonbury rather than the music festival. So it was in Glastonbury town itself. And I just so happened to be there, unbeknownst, the day before. I arrived the day before Stuart Wilde was going to do a lecture in the town hall. Now, I'll talk about the Stuart Wilde, that whole thing in a separate podcast or blog post or something, another stage. But there was one moment during the lecture where he just stopped. And I was looking at his face, looking at his eyes. And I was down at the back of the room, and he was still up on stage, whatever. And there was something very weird about that moment that felt very different. Even weird in the sense of weird with a Y. And it was more when it finished that I just had that sense of just how odd. Odd is no, it wasn't really strange. It was odd. There's something just odd, not right, not thing, just something odd about it. But his face changed into loads of different faces in this kind of eye thing where your eye is going out of focus, and there's this haze, this kind of light, this kind of superimposing of some sort of other world on top of it. That's how to describe it. I'm not saying it is another world on top of it. That's just how it describes looking at it or seeing it. So his face kept changing into loads of different faces of different types of beings or different races, different ages, women, men, boys, all that. It was. And I'm just kind of looking at it, and at the time it didn't really seem odd until it finished, if that makes sense. And then I realised how odd it was. And when it was over, he just kind of went, a moment of peace. And then went on with his lecture. So obviously he knew something was going on, or he had sensed something, or the whole atmosphere of the room was conducive to this kind of a thing. So that was interesting. Then fast forward a couple more years, and I'm at a shamanic retreat one weekend. It's like a level 1 course, introduction to shamanism and stuff. And it's very new agey, and it's not really shamanic at all. It's like an Irish woman in her 40s teaching about Native American Indians, or whatever the PC word is for Native Americans, or I don't know, kind of teaching what they believe, whatever. Just she's had some authority or experience or anything like that. Like she owned a health food shop in Navan, but so it was interesting. But I definitely don't think it was a proper shamanic experience, or whatever. But there was a point in it where we did this eye gazing thing as well. And we just, the usual thing at these workshops where you separate into pairs, whatever. And I was with this guy who in my head, his name is Michael. And I'm not great with names in general. And I don't know why I remember him as Michael. But if it was Michael, it was Michael. If not, it isn't. But in this story, his name is Michael. And we were doing this eye gazing thing. And the exact same thing happened where the face is changed and more overimposed or overlaid over his face like in the movies and horror films or whatever, where you see like the skull coming over someone's face, or the ghoul thing, or it keeps changing. I can't really describe it. It's just like a load of faces superimposed over someone else's face. So when I came, well, about 2 years ago, I came back to wanting to maybe try something like this again. And being the antisocial kind of person I am, I didn't really want to go out and start looking into people's eyes or asking, can I look into your eyes for a couple of minutes and see if I can get any sort of weird stuff to happen. So I came out with this idea of the black mirror, which is usually used for scrying, again, for like fortune telling or divination or seeing things that you're not meant to be able to see. But I thought if I could use this black mirror, I could do the eye gazing thing, and it would be cool because it's a black mirror, and that makes it more interesting. So to make my black mirror, all I did was I got a cheap frame from IKEA, one of those like $2.99, $3.99 A3 plastic frames, and I just took the perspex bit out of it because it's not glass; it's only a couple of quid, and spray painted it black, so that when you turn it back round to the other side, it's just a black mirror when you put it back in. So I hung it on the wall, and I sat in front of it for a couple of days in a row, trying to try to get that, recreate that thing where you're looking into your eyes and you see different things. And it never really got the same as either the level as I could do with a kid in mass or at night with the thing. My eyes never, I seem to have lost that kind of ability, probably just through lack of practice rather than growing up killed it or anything like that. And it didn't happen in the same way as either the Stuart Wilde or the Shamanic Michael guy either. Again, probably takes a bit of practice, but I wasn't practicing during the shamanic course either up to that, so I don't know. But I did get to see your eyes kind of, or your face kind of changes and becomes other things. Yeah, like to say you can see your past lives, or you can see your future lives, or you can see different things. But I'm sure it's just some sort of anamorphic thing your brain does. Maybe. Or maybe you can see. Maybe you are, it is a gateway into something else, like in the mirrors and Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, how it is a passageway or an entranceway to the other worlds or whatever. So it's worth maybe try doing it. Have a look. Make your own black mirror, or don't use a black mirror. Just use a normal mirror and stare into your own eyes, and just let your gaze go completely out of focus. But out of focus is wrong, because that kind of sounds like you're doing effort. It's a lack of focus. Just don't focus. Just let your eyes go soft and see what appears and what doesn't appear. And tell me how you get on, or what sort of experiences you have, or if you've anything similar happening to you, that when you were young you were able to do these things that I talk about, or had similar experiences of this cloudy, hazy ability that you could do with your eyes that almost felt like you were looking into a different world, or bringing the darkness in when you were in bed at night so that the whole room was going dark, but never quite getting there. Or did you see other people's faces, or a load of different faces in front of other people, on other people's faces? So that's podcast 1, and black mirrors and scrying and shamanic eye gazing. If you like this podcast, subscribe, or if you want to hear more from me, go to adventuresinwoohoo.com and search out the 47s.com, and look at my YouTube, and go to Facebook, all those things. I'm all over the place. I'm on Twitter and everything. There's no end to the places on the internet where I am. And I will talk to you next time.